Good morning, Sparsholt College. I'm David Doherty, producer of the HorseTech Conference, and it's a great honour to be giving this opening presentation about the opportunity that we have to use technology to optimise the performance and welfare of what most of us in this audience will agree is probably the most valuable thing that a human can own. Sorry I can't be there, but what a great opportunity it is that we have technology like video calling. And I'm calling you here from my farm on the west coast of Ireland. It means I can look after the horses today, but what it also means is you don't need to take notes, and you can share this video with people who aren't fortunate enough to be able to make it to Sparsholt today. I'm surprised by how many people who own and enjoy horses but yet question the value of sharing their passion with the next generation, because for many it seems that this isn't a generation that really even thinks about, never mind cares about horses. I think it's our duty, our responsibility to inspire the next generation to maintain equine traditions. But I think for this to realistically happen, we need to accept that technology is going to determine how our relationship with horses evolves. It's time to start inspiring outsiders, because the world is full of innovations that could be so much better developed and deployed in the equine industry. I mean, anyone seen these amazing robotic exoskeletons? Classic technology often looking for a problem to solve. Now, can you imagine what an equine vet could do with one of those? Could you imagine if they designed them to be worn by injured horses, the sort of rehab that could be possible? The vet schools, I think, are struggling to cope with the rapid pace of change, and naturally they want to keep today's model that students memorising volumes of information to regurgitate for tests. While on a positive, I think that a vet school will require students to use a smartphone in their exams before a medical school will. I still think there's some quite insurmountable barriers, and we can look to the technology industry to help us leapfrog them. I think technology is breaking down some of these barriers between human and veterinary medicine also. If we study major challenges facing human health today, it's quite clear that the most promising solutions can be found through a One Health approach, where we don't see that real distinction between veterinary and human health medicine. And when you appreciate the microbiome, it's very clear, our bodies individually are comprised of more microbial cells than human cells, and we couldn't survive without them. So, looking in a human health only approach, that's quite narrow-minded. Technology is making the current human healthcare model unsustainable. The Economist's digital editor gave a great talk you can link to here, and it predicts that wearable sensors will kill the healthcare insurance industry. And it's about time, because the insurer-dominated markets like the USA, we have healthcare costs just spiraling out of control at $3 trillion per annum, or about 18% of GDP, with similar or lower outcomes than other regions of the world. And to get a feel of that, how that's going to happen, check out the AliveCore ECG machine. Just $99 with next day delivery via Amazon. It's the world's most inexpensive, smallest, easiest to use ECG machine. And it's a fascinating example of One Health, as it was first sold to veterinarians before ever getting sold to human doctors. The company first made the device available to veterinarians, and it's now used widely across the world by horse trainers and veterinarians. And for all these trainers and the many equine vets, it's often the first ECG machine they've ever owned. The company featured this product in an Apple TV commercial, and I did some research that showed the online viral success of that Apple advert. Showed it was one of the most successful Apple adverts ever, which is interesting, as Apple, without a doubt, make the world's best adverts. It's also interesting to note that the world's 5 biggest companies are now tech companies. They've sort of replaced the big car companies and the big petrochemical companies. And at the top of the pile is Apple now, and they are starting a healthcare business. The CEO, Tim Cook, has said will dwarf the $1 trillion smartphone market that the company today dominates. Apple always tries to be different when it enters a new market, and in healthcare it's no different. But with nearly $300 billion in cash reserves, it's quite capable of doing things that haven't been tried before. And it's publicly stated how it won't be competing with the established healthcare businesses, because it won't focus on reimbursement from insurers or governments, which is basically what every big healthcare business model is all about. In my experience, equine health is the only quality healthcare model that shares this focus, and this is going to make companies that can achieve success in the equine health market, very interesting to the emerging new healthcare market that will evolve as a result of increasingly advanced consumer technology. So I think we've got a time where horse-first innovation is really exciting because it not only brings together the passion and dedication that horse owners have, but it's also benefiting from failures within the human healthcare business model. Human healthcare technology is actually plagued by dead ends and scams, and that's because there's often more profit to be made by abusing healthcare data than from using it to actually provide care. And this is why you'll see companies like Google will let you video call a doctor for free if you agree to, the odd 52 odd pages of terms and conditions. But the same company isn't any rush at all to subsidize video chats with veterinarians. Mobile tech isn't just about smartphones it's also about transforming the internet into a network of devices. Everything that should be connected will be connected in the next decade, and this has huge application in the equine industry. Who doesn't want to know that their horse is safe? This is, a really obvious example that's quite basic. A mobile connected smoke alarm has been around for quite a few years. Lots of horse owners have deployed these. But I think it's a very sad indictment that in the UK and Ireland, more horse owners have actually gone out and bought and installed mobile connected smoke alarms above their animals than the NHS has in the homes of patients. Another striking one was that the CEO of a major British cancer charity recently explained how her dog gets more joined-up care from a small animal vet than her daughter does while getting treated at a major teaching hospital in London, despite the NHS spending more than £12 billion taxpayer money on an electronic healthcare record that obviously small veterinary practices couldn't possibly have benefited from or even considered. And with the scandals that are hitting the major human aid charities at the moment, it's interesting to point out that practically all of the major cancer charities in the UK have been in court abusing patient data. With financial targets fueling greed, they've hired private detectives and misused data to do things like profile cancer patients with highly targeted appeals for funds from them, not only them, but also their friends and families, quite surreptitiously. And if that's what a leading, cancer charity is up to, can you imagine what the corporate cutthroat corporate sector are up to? The old saying that if you build a better mousetrap, the world will beat a path to your door is unfortunately just the same. It's not going to apply to horse tech because horse tech innovations do have a hard time in the market. It's not that big a market. If you want to start up something, you're going to have to be ignored for a while. You'll be laughed at. You'll be embroiled in fights all long before you ever win anything, I think. And what we'll find, though, is that tech now gives a big advantage to those who are being first to innovate and the first to share. Probably the best example of a company that's taken this model is Tesla, the high-tech electric vehicle manufacturer. When their CEO founder, Elon Musk, published his secret master plan as a sort of bit of comedy, the entire industry either laughed at him or flatly ignored him. 12 years later, every single major automaker is trying to copy Tesla and go fully electric. And while Tesla's been blazing ahead with the support of a network of fans that he inspired because they love this stated mission, look at the homepage now of big companies like Mercedes-Benz, for example, and they're so desperate to catch up that they're actually making it as clear as day. Not only is the future electric, but they're saying that despite the total lack of electric cars or a charger station network that can possibly rival what Tesla's already built as a startup. On a much smaller scale, I took this same idea of sharing when I launched the HorseTech Conference last year. One of the most senior execs in the global equine industry told me flat straight to my face that I'll get no one to talk at this conference because if anyone's using technology, it's for a competitive advantage, and they aren't exactly going to go and start telling anyone else what they're doing. He was also adamant that no one would pay to go, as the event tickets were being sold at £1,000 each, and there was going to be a free live stream, so people could just watch at home or watch it on the replay. But I reached out to the Royal Veterinary College in London, and they shared a passion for this space. And within no time, we were confirming pretty much a who's who of the best tech people in the world, of equine tech. And the tickets sold out 2 weeks before the date. Sponsors were getting involved because they could see the value of sharing best practice widely across what we were bringing together was quite a new type of audience. that consisted not only of vets but also owners, trainers, academics, and tech professionals. You can visit the HorseTechConference.com and play back each and every presentation. But to start this conference here today, I'm going to just give you a quick overview of each, as it'll help you get a feel for the diversity of the tech opportunities that are presented. Opening the conference, we had a kind of focus on thoroughbred racehorses, and we had Jeff Seeger. He's pretty much the world's most hardworking horse tech pioneer, and he's got those arrows in his back to prove it. He got the idea of using technology to select racehorses from his work that was working for the Team USA, trying to find future Olympic champions and tweak their techniques. He created a database by recording the vital stats on over 10,000 racehorses, and this included ultrasound scans of horses that had the sales, where he was trying to measure their hearts and correlate that to future performance. You can now buy an ultrasound probe today that you can plug into your smartphone. But Jeff was so early, he had to build his own customized hardware to work on a horse. It's now paying off very nicely for him, as his predictive accuracy has improved considerably as he collected more data and sort of learned from the track performance of these horses. And his track record is now legendary, having used data to select reasonably priced horses that went on to be the first to win the American Grand Slam, for example. His talk left the audience in no doubt about the scale of the challenges and opportunities. Next up was Jay Kilgore, known to the racing fans around the world as the Stride Guy. His talk on gait analysis will resonate you really powerfully after you've experienced the Biomechanics demonstration that's been taking place this afternoon. And Jay's colleague, Robert Fierro, is another legend from the USA, where syndicates rely heavily on the combination of big data and expertise to breeze up sales. Terrific communicator. His biomechanics presentation will give you insights into how to trade different attributes of a horse to better understand the different horses and what they can be trained for. Tom McGuinness needs no introduction. His legendary horse coats are relied on by horse owners all over the world for over 30 years. He explained how the horseware brand that he founded in 1985 is bringing technology innovations to make life better for horses and riders. Tom is the first Irishman to qualify for the World Equestrian Games in endurance, and it's clear that tech is part of what's giving him the edge. His live demo of the horsepower app that his company developed shared with the audience data on his own horses from around the world in real time. And the audience was right, but I've never yet met a horse owner or trainer who doesn't want that type of data at their fingertips. So I think this is going to be a huge, new, innovative area for horseware, and it's so exciting that an established brand is prepared to go and develop that future. Dr. Mandy DeMestra is the senior lecturer in reproductive immunology and is doing some of the most incredible research on breeding at the RPC in London. This is the type of large-scale, long-term commitment to research that we need more of, and it's great to see it getting the support of some of the biggest names in the equine world. Video calling in from his home in sunny Silicon Valley was Philip Chan. Every single one of us has at least one of this guy's inventions. Not only him, he's also a super smart wife in their pocket today. He created the first camera probe, the first fitness trackers, has worked with Nike for over a decade, producing their wearable and their tracking apps and sensors, things like Nike Fuel. He also worked with Steve Jobs on the iPhone, the device that turned Apple into a small computer company and into the most valuable and profitable corporation in the world. When you revolve that phone and that gyroscope sensor, that was the work of Philip. Sensory work, low power wearable technology. Now, last night, hundreds of thousands of people actually slept on top of one of Philip's most recent breakthrough innovations. He's working with the world's largest mattress companies, and he's produced a sleep tracker app and the Beauty Rest monitor. Again, a low-cost $99 device turns absolutely any bed into a smart bed. With machine learning insights, it can transform your sleep and help you optimize your entire life. And it already works seamlessly with the Amazon Echo. So you literally get up, you can ask your Amazon Echo how they sleep last night, and you'll get a report read out to you, and you can add and build on that, and it give you tips and coach you. So it's just breathtakingly futuristic. but it's here today. Imagine what that will do for horse owners and the welfare of our horses when we know how much rest they're actually getting. Imagine how when we can use high quality data like that to make decisions that will optimize their diets, their environment, their behavior. I have no doubt that we're going to see the work of Philip shared about big data, sensors, and machine learning becoming key to the future of our relationship with the horse and other animals. And it really gave you the sense that you were going to be on, you're going to have to hold tight if you want to enjoy this ride, because it's going to be such an exciting market. What's going to happen here? Richard Butterworth invented equine salt therapy treatments. If anyone's ever tried that, he did it in Australia, where there was this really high-grade salt product, and he now has installations across the world with the biggest names in racing and the most affluent horse owners. People who will stop at nothing to spoil their horses with medical-grade salt therapy. Salt therapy, has had a bad reputation here in Europe because there were a lot of quacks peddling cheap systems that either didn't work or were actually harmful to animals. But Richard has been a sterling supporter of high quality research, and on his visit to London, he even got to check out the brand new salt therapy unit at the world leading Royal Brompton NHS Hospital. When he started out, his innovation was actually being widely discredited by experts. So it's fascinating to see how that's evolved and how today that same technology is now relied upon by many of the world's best trainers, and they're supporting veterinary research with his company to try and work out its value, treat a range of common conditions of the skin and respiratory system. Anyone seen a horse wearing a beanie hat yet? Well, veterinarian Christina Frigas is the most, foremost expert in Europe with the Equinosis Q, with lameness detector wearable sensor technology, with data being captured faster than I can see. It's literally giving superhuman sense to veterinarians and trainers who are looking to pick up lameness earlier and treat and detect and develop therapies. Imagine where this has taken us. How long before bookies literally will be asking for tracks to ban mobile phones coming anywhere near the parade ring? It's rare for a day to pass without news headlines about regenerative medicine. Stories are breaking all the time because this is probably the most exciting area for the human race. But what's happening now, and what's the opportunity in equine? Who better gets all up to speed than Annie Fisk-Jackson, senior lecturer in equine surgery at the Royal Veterinary College? He even shared a video of him doing a stem cell procedure, which is just a fascinating, in-depth insight into a market that's going to transform how horses are cared for. Professor Emmeline Hill is the world's most published equine geneticist and stepped up to give her talk on what turned out to be the exact 55th anniversary of the Nobel Prize being awarded for the discovery of the double helical molecular structure of DNA. Now, I wonder if Crick, Watson, and Wilkins could have ever imagined that genetics would become something of such interest to the equine world. Professor Hill is such an accomplished lecturer over at UCD in Dublin that it's easy for audiences to sort of start forgetting the tech mastery that's needed to be able to explain things with such ease. But I think you'll enjoy playing back this lecture a little bit more with the forewarning that Professor Hill was actually the first person to discover the speed gene, find that coded piece of genetic material that was coded into a 2.7 billion DNA-based pairs that make up the horse genome. It's only a matter of time before Plus Vital completely transform how we breed and sell horses, and we're already seeing evidence of this in the sales, where we're seeing Plus Vital tested colts being published and then landing record bids. For example, I'm Invincible Colt set the record a fortnight ago at the Gold Coast Magic Millions, and it was, of course, Plus Vital tested. And Plus Vital have recently launched Energy Q10, the world's first nutrigenomic supplement for horses that is based on published scientific evidence. And it's taken the market by storm and really transforming the supplement industry. Sam Murphy talked very humbly about his background, but I think he demonstrates perfectly the potential for the passionate to have an impact with new thinking. I'm sure he'll be retiring from his day job as a horse box driver soon, as he now has over 1,000 racehorses in the UK and Ireland, training under his license system, and he's going and doing sales across the world now. You'll never forget when you see a training yard that's working with Equinox as the stable lighting moves through a sequenced time, season controlled phase change. It looks really special. HorseTech is very often about helping trainers to optimize and take care of the very little details, the small tweaks they're doing to get those marginal improvements. And one of the earliest fans of the Equilux lighting is the world's most celebrated trainer, Aidan O'Brien, which is having a great halo effect for the startup as it looks to expand further afield. Dr. David Marling will be talking here today, and at the Royal Veterinary College, he gave an in-depth lecture on respiratory health and paid special attention to the things we don't yet know and the opportunity for technology to help us find solutions. There's been a rapid increase in the sales of high-speed treadmills, and I find it interesting. This correlates very closely to how trainers and vets are increasingly becoming aware of wind medicine. Robert Curtis joined us from Australia and shared the science and physiology that the evidence that went behind the decision to build a £20 million racehorse pre-training Kurt system at the Kingwood Stud in Lambourne. After the conference, delegates got the opportunity to actually experience, get hands-on with the Kurt system firsthand, and it's just one of those things that's got to be experienced. It was incredible to see the vision of Mr. Kurt working there, and there are some big buyers waiting in the wings for this system who will be eagerly awaiting to see how his current set of young horses mature and find success on the track. I'm still filled with ideas for research that the system could enable, and it just amazes me that a big technology company like someone like McLaren didn't go out and build this with Mr. Kurt to get them into the lucrative horse racing market, because the opportunities are immense. We closed the conference with a talk by Professor Sam Lingham. He's a consultant professor of paediatrics, career at institutions like Great Ormond Street in London, and he runs now the Harley Street Paediatric Chambers. He enjoyed the day, learnt loads, and reflected in his talk on the enormous scope for the human and equine medicine disciplines to learn and interchange science with one another. A big takeaway for me was that the horse tech market needs to get more visibility. Lots of people were joining the free live stream and didn't really have a sense of what horse tech meant before watching the event. They didn't feel it was something they had the capacity to utilize. They lacked confidence that they could get results with technology, but when they watched the talks, they realized it's just about time they started using the technology that makes the rest of their lives easier and more comfortable to improve how they care for their horses. So delegates were expressing that until now there hasn't been a place for these conversations to take place. It's really hard to talk productively about horse technology at a sale, and certainly not at a race. So where are the dates in the calendar where we can go and so we're really keen to produce more focused meetings and develop this further afield around the world. I think we can do more than that. And I think the same technology that lets me video call into Sparsholt today lets you share experiences with a connection in the Curragh, Japan, Kentucky, or the Gold Coast. We urgently need to build a supportive network across the world for this industry. And my advice is to get started with a professional LinkedIn page, your own Twitter handle, your Facebook, your Instagram profile, so you can start more readily discovering, sharing new things, and supporting other people in the industry who are doing creative new things. We're creating a HorseTech Market Report to contribute towards this. It's going to be a free report that everyone in the world can access, download, and review, and we'd be really delighted to welcome any contributions from this audience. Contribute anything from as little as an app review or a review of a piece of technology that you've been trialing, or offer to write a dedicated section where we're open to all offers, because by trying to collaboratively produce this definitive report, we want to create something that can be shared freely around the world to help people sense and discover and find passion about how interesting and dynamic the horse tech market is. So I've gone on a bit too long now, so I'll wrap up really quickly by saying get in touch if you have any ideas if you'd like to share with us, or if you'd like to contribute to the HorseTech Market Report or future meetings. Have a great day, and let your imaginations work hard while you're listening to the rest of today's speakers.